Hey, so one big story this week, Entertainment Tonight Canada is no more. After 18 years on air, earlier this week, ET Canada was cancelled. So today on the podcast, you're going to hear what this means for entertainment news in this country. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This is Commotion. Listen, we always close out the week by talking about the biggest stories in arts and entertainment. Today we have a sad one. ET Canada is going off the air. Corus Entertainment dropped this news earlier this week that it is cancelling its flagship entertainment show. This is the show that airs every night at 7:30 on Global TV. Cheryl Hickey and Sangeeta Patel, who host the show, introduced this news to their audience last night. This is what they had to say.
And we know many of you heard on social media yesterday, but we wanted to tell you ourselves. And mostly we want to thank our viewers. Thank you for inviting us into your homes. It has been a privilege and honor to bring you some joy, light, laughter, and entertainment news.
You can hear the emotion in Sangeeta's voice there. According to the pair, they'll say goodbye on October 6th. It might not come as a total surprise, I think, given the media landscape these days and how much has changed just in the ways that we consume entertainment. But what are we losing when we lose an outlet like ET Canada? To talk about this and some of the other big stories this week, Kathleen Newman-Bremang is here, Amil Niazi is here, Jael Richardson is here. Hey, everyone. What is good? Welcome to the show. What's up?
Hi,
Elamin.
Hi. That was what a beautiful and bright good morning. I love this for us. Kathleen, I'm going to start with you. What was your reaction when you heard the news that ET Canada was being canceled?
I mean, I think sadness was my first emotion. You know, I've worked in Canadian media a long time, and entertainment media specifically. And whenever there are job losses, which I've seen a lot, you know, it's heartbreaking. And first and foremost, a lot of good, talented people lost their jobs this week. And I am, you know, shoulder to shoulder with these people on red carpets and at junkets, and they don't get to do this job that we love anymore in this capacity. And so they're all going to be fine, I'm sure, but that's always hard. And as you said, though, this news wasn't entirely surprising, even though it was abrupt and shocking, I think, in the way that it happened, because the whole show was canceled instead of, you know, incremental layoffs that we see often. But the writing has been on the wall about traditional media for a long time, you know, and while I still love shows like this, I know that not a lot of people are turning on the TV at 7 p.m. to watch Cheryl Hickey, you know, tell us what the celebs are up to, because we can just go to Twitter or TikTok or Instagram and see that. And advertisers are not investing in these shows. And in the show's statement, you know, they gave the reasoning that it's a challenging advertising environment, quote. And I've heard that, you know, since I started as an intern at Bell Media almost 15 years ago. So financially, things have been tough in this industry for a while. So I think the news has rocked Canadian media so hard because it seems to be a signal of more bad news to come.
I cannot believe you've been working in this industry for 15 years. Kathleen, you're what, 22?
I'm only 25.
That's wild. That's crazy.
I was like the Doogie Howser of Canadian.
Okay, Amil, I want to play you this clip.
You're the one who's obsessed. You're obsessed with me.
That's what I'm saying. I'm scared of what it could turn into.
Okay.
And I'm not ready for that
too
kind of
much.
thing. I'm not ready for it.
Oh, okay. Well, I am.
Wait.
You're nominated tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I feel like you have an affinity to playing religious characters.
Are you going to ask a serious question?
No, I don't want to.
Are you actually going to ask a serious question?
I knew you did.
Go on, let's see what we can do.
Are you going to ask a serious question? That is what Andrew Garfield is saying to YouTuber Amelia de Moldenberg on the red carpet, right? So Amelia is a famous YouTuber. She's interviewing Andrew Garfield. She doesn't work for ET, okay? She's a popular YouTuber, but it seems like that's what the Emmys want. That's what the Oscars want. They want someone who is not really a journalist. They're more closer to an influencer who's going to do these red carpets and ask questions about the world of entertainment. What does that tell you about how Hollywood views the role of the entertainment journalist, Emil?
Well, I mean, you can hear it. She's very charming and she's good at what she does. And like Kathleen said, it's not like we want less celebrity journalism. It's not like we don't want to see what's happening on the red carpet. It's just that I think we're so used to influencers leading us through this type of content that someone like Amelia or Emma Chamberlain, who did a lot of red carpets for like the Met Gala and the Emmys and the Oscars.
And she was good too. Yeah.
She was great. They're good at this, but like Andrew Garfield alluded to, they're not really there to ask serious, hard-hitting questions. They're not really there to pull anything out of you even the bare minimum, like, the basics of what movie are you in and what, when does it come out? They're really just there to kind of be a personality. They're on par with those celebrities a lot of the time. They have just as many fans and viewers. So while I think it is very entertaining and charming, we are losing some of that heft, some of that gravitas that these journalists often bring to the red carpet. So while I, nothing against people like Emma and Amelia, I just think it is sad to continue to lose the journalism side of entertainment journalism.
Jael, Kathleen alluded to this earlier. Not a lot of people are sitting down at 7:30 p.m. and watching AT Canada. That's certainly not my consumer behavior. I don't know a lot of people who are doing that. Where are you getting your entertainment news?
I mean, I get it from Instagram. And, Kathleen said it. I get it from Instagram. I get it from Twitter. I look at what's trending. I will watch a lot of reality TV on like a time basis, like Wednesday at 8:00. But like most of my other TV watching is not that committed, that devoted. And so I think that's like the thing that they're up against. And I think just to echo kind of what Kathleen said, but also to question it a little bit is like, I think it's really sad whenever we lose Canadian content, unique Canadian content. But my question is like, are they actually going to be okay? Like, do we actually have places for all these folks who were so good and so talented to land? I mean, that is like my deep heartbreak is like, it's ending for them in this capacity, but will they actually find new work that really fulfills them? And that's my hope for everybody. So I think that's what makes me truly sad.
Kathleen, to that point, like it seems like every round of layoffs, some people return to the field and find a job somewhere else. There's a percentage of those people who say, you know what, this field is no longer for me. I'm out. I'm no longer going to sort of subject myself to these cycles. How have you seen the field of entertainment journalism sort of change over the 15-year career you've had in it?
So much. I mean, I started at Much Music. And we know that Much Music does not exist, RIP, in the same way at all anymore. So I've seen so many shifts. And like Jael was saying, that it's really sad because, yes, eventually people will have to leave this industry. And I am, a burn it all down type person. I think that a lot of the times the legacy media in this country does not work in the way that it's supposed to and perpetuates a lot of systemic issues. That being said, there is a lot of talented, amazing people who work within these systems. And each year I just see that number dwindle and people having to choose different careers. And that's sad. And I think there is a really important place for entertainment reporting. I think you can tell a lot about a culture and a society by analyzing celebrity and analyzing the entertainment that we consume. That is important. That is still important. And every year, I think that importance dwindles, and every year less and less people are doing that. And it's really sad to see. And I think this news is just more confirmation of that.
Amil, Kathleen mentioned Much Music there. I think that's an interesting model because Much Music was sort of a brand that was around that sort of dominated how we get a lot of our entertainment news when we were younger. And then it kind of goes away and becomes a little bit less relevant. But then it begins to come back because I think they relaunched maybe 2 or 3 years ago as like a TikTok channel. I'm not really sure how successful that is because I don't know how you measure the success of a TikTok channel aside from views. Like I don't know what the penetration of the Much Music TikTok channel is. But do you think something is lost when we sort of try to adapt these mediums for something that is much smaller and sort of targeted towards virality rather than the sort of longer conversations that we used to have on like a Rap City, or on like Much Loud, like the way we used to have those conversations there? Yes,
it's huge. I really think like Much Music was connective tissue for young people across the country. And, there was something for everyone. If you wanted to watch Strombo, you could. If you wanted to watch, Hannah Sung or Rick the Temp, there was music for everybody. And you were also sort of proud to see your favorite artists come through this iconic building and to know that Canadian people were talking to them and you got to also see Canadian talent. And I think that is like this existential place we're in right now is like we've always come up against this juggernaut of American talent and American content. And the more, the fewer Canadian flags we have to that, I think it's sad for us. It's sad for the next generation. And it's sad for the incredible amount of talent we have in this country that has fewer and fewer places to shine and to grow and to, find their footing. And so I just think it's everything.
Can I just say it is the equivalent of carbon dating, the way that you name a Much Music generation, and I can tell exactly what your age is, right? Like
I could have gone back to Monica Diol, okay? I could have gone back to Circus.
You name two VJs, and I can guess your age within like 2 years. You know, like if you're like Erica M, I'm like, I know exactly where you come from. You know, like I know exactly.
I'm not trying to seem that old on air, Elamin. I'm not trying to go back to Ziggy, okay?
Love it.
Kathleen, to the point that Amil just raised, though, this idea of talking about homegrown talent and talking about the development of Canadian-specific entertainment avenues. Over 10 years ago, the CanCon rules changed for entertainment news, like shows like ET Canada. They were no longer required to have 2/3 of their content be Canadian because, you know, more than 10 years ago, they had to. They had to sort of reach out and find the Canadian talent and talk to them. That was a part of the thing that they did. But if you kind of like look at their recent episodes, you look at their social media feeds, you can see that it's heavily weighted into covering American entertainment. Do you really think this is like a loss for Canadian entertainment journalism in that way?
Yeah, I still think it is. You know, sure, the show is going to lead with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Like
As it should. Yes.
American entertainment show, right? Like everyone's doing that. But because that's what people tune in for. And Canadian audiences love to complain when there's no CanCon and then not support it when it is. Again, I worked at Canadian TV.
Shots fired. Let's go. Yes.
Honestly, I was there when this CanCon ruling existed, and there wasn't a lot of support for some of those Canadian artists that we were trying to break, let's say, on Much Music, or some of that Canadian talent that we were putting on like the early days of The Social. Like I was there and people were not that supportive. So the logic behind this CanCon ruling, though, is kind of confusing. And I do think it is sad in some ways because we are losing some of that platform. You know, on the one hand, they essentially decided that, you know, the star system in Canada has already been created. People already know them, not taking into consideration new talent. And then on the other hand, they're being like, you know, if it wasn't created, then this model doesn't work. Right. And so, you know, might as well do what you want. Do you? And so, yeah, I think you can poke holes in that logic. But like every other show or media entity right now, they are chasing views and eyeballs. And unfortunately, it's American entertainment that garners the most interest. And, you know, yeah, that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but that is the truth. That said, ET Canada did do their coverage with a Canadian audience in mind, and they did spotlight Canadian talent. And there were shows and films and artists that, you know, already had a hard time getting press, as we've mentioned, that will now lose one of the only outlets in the country that gave them a platform. And, you know, if you looked at the comments on the Instagram announcement, there were Canadian talent in there thanking ET Canada for what they've done. And I just want to read something by Julie Black, Canadian R&B singer, actress.
Legend, yes, go on.
Legend. She wrote to Sangeeta Patel and Cheryl Hickey, and she said, "You both fought for me to be seen as an artist with no record label support and amplified my voice when so many truly didn't care." So that's coming from Julie Black, one of the biggest homegrown stars that we have. That sounds like a loss for Canadian entertainment journalism to me.
Yeah. Jael, last word to you on this. We don't have an established pipeline now for covering entertainment in this country. The number of outlets seems to be dwindling by the day. Can you see where we might rebuild this? Can you see an avenue for us to, you know, this is the direction we might go in?
To be honest, no. I mean, and that's just me in my, like, I'm a viewer, I'm watching this. I mean, I don't know. I don't have enough expertise, but also I feel like it needs like a reshaping in a way that maybe we haven't seen yet. And I just don't know how to envision that yet. I'm excited because I think people will pop up. Someone will emerge. This isn't the end. I just don't know if I'm the one to forecast that.
Well, maybe Amil wants to take a shot at forecasting that. Amil, the Amelia de Moldenberg of Canada. Do you want to take a shot at recasting that?
Oh my God, I wish. Bring our Andrew Garfield down to my house anytime. No, I do think we have a lot of really, really great talent in this country that writes about and that covers entertainment news in a really, really smart way. And I think what we'll just see is more of this influencer model, more of this one-on-one, very personal recounting of what's happening. And I think that that's okay. And that's just where we're trending towards. Yeah. But, you know, maybe TMZ Canada, like, I don't know, let's just throw it out there.
I I just hope we don't lose like the facts. And I know that entertainment journalism, people don't think that there's facts in there. It's just gossip or whatever, but there is. And I think right now we're seeing just an opinion-based TikTok model where it's like people who don't know anything about the industry, just like speculating. And I hope that we don't lose the like truth and the facts and the checks and balances from these discussions.
I'm going to start a TikTok channel. It's just my opinions on everything that Kathleen writes. That's my plan. Okay, we're going to go on talk about something that's a little bit more fun. Have a listen to this.
All too often, people think of the fantasy suites as the boom boom room. At our age, or at least for me, I'll speak just for myself, it was the time when I developed connections on an intellectual and emotional level. My priorities was get to know the heart and soul of a person, not a physical intimacy preference.
Grandpa Gary Turner, the star of The Golden Bachelor. He's talking about the infamous fantasy suites, the boom boom rooms, where no cameras are allowed. He's 72 years old. He's looking for love. The Golden Bachelor just launched. Jael, what is your reaction when you heard, you know what? We're going to have an older bachelor. He's going to be 72 years old.
So I have to say, I am an OG Bachelor fan. I'm confessing it here. I've been watching since season 1.
This is a safe space. Okay.
Season 1.
We all are,
single one. Here we go. So I got lots of opinions, lots of thoughts. I was super excited when they announced The Golden Bachelor. I should say this. I was like curious, I will say. When you meet Jerry, like the first time you see Jerry in any capacity, you're like, yes, bring it on. I want to watch this. Because Jerry is like, they scored. I don't know how they found this man, but he is literally like the ideal human, like kind, heartwarming. He listens, like, men, take notes. Okay. So I think that's when I got really excited when I saw Jerry. And then I'll say after watching the first episode yesterday, I'm also like delightfully excited about the women. I thought they were glamorous. They were beautiful. They were funny. They were sexy. They were like redefining aging. Like every minute that I was watching the episode, it was delightful. And I may be actually more excited now about watching them and their journey too. I don't know. It's a toss up, but I'm in for sure.
I have to say, like, as you were describing the show and setting this up for us, like Kathleen and Amil just had these giant smiles on their faces, just like this giant grin over what the Golden Bachelor's doing to people. Amil, it's true. We don't often see older people romancing each other on TV. How do you think audiences will be receptive to this?
I think they are going to be hugely receptive to it. Like, honest truth, I was crying within the first 2 minutes. Like they played Cat Stevens and I was just like weeping story. But, like Jael said, you see the women and you see this representation of women over 60 that we just do not see in a sexy, romantic, like energetic way. And I'm so excited about it. And I think other people are going to be too. The reception I've seen on social media has been just like so warm and open and excited about seeing romance at an older age, seeing these women who are not just like being pushed off to the corner like, okay, thanks for your service. Now you can go off and die now. Like, it's really beautiful and it's really exciting. And, I love an old man. So like, Jerry, how are you 72? Share your skincare secrets. Tell us what you're doing. Most of these women have more energy than I've had in the last 5 years. Like truly, I think, and just like that, the Sex and the City spinoff, I think really sort of primed us to be like, oh yeah, we've been missing this. We've been missing women living their lives, without children, without, necessarily like the sort of model that we've seen for them in a different way. And it's exciting and it gives you hope. Like I felt so hopeful watching this show and maybe it's just like sad. But I really think like
sad.
Multi-generational romance has been missing from television for a very long time. We usually see it relegated to soap operas and daytime television, and to have it in prime time, I think is not just good entertainment, but it's important entertainment.
And on that note, can I just say, like, they showed Bachelor in Paradise came on right after that. And to see the tragedy of young romance on a beach in contrast was like, give me the old women and the Golden Bachelor every day.
Well, there's no stakes. Like, why is a 22-year-old getting married in the first place? These people are in it for a real reason, and that's, I think, why people are connecting to the show.
For the right reasons, as they say.
Exactly.
Kathleen, you're often on the verge of tears all the time anyway, but like, as they were describing that little, as Amil and Jael were describing the show, you look like you're on the verge of tears again. What was your reaction to the first episode? Tell me.
Oh, yeah, I wept through the entire thing, as Neil said. I am worried about Jerry because he is so sweet and lovely. I think this process is going to break him. But I really don't think I've ever been so invested in anything in my life. I'm so invested in all of them finding love that I'm a bit worried about myself and about them. But as Amil said, the stakes are so high, right? I love that none of them are influences who are going to be like shilling flat tummy tea or sugar bear hair after the show. They genuinely seem to be there to find love. And, it hits different when you're watching, a 70-year-old grandma talk about finding someone to spend the rest of her life with. She's running out of time. She wants to spend the rest of her life with someone, as opposed to a 23-year-old who is like barely lived. And I also think one of the most refreshing things about that first episode was the women genuinely supporting each other.
Yeah. I like your earrings. I like your dress.
Like complimenting each other. And it's like maturity comes with age. What a concept. But they truly, I love mess, and I do think the mess is going to come, but it was really nice to see them embracing each other. And, Jerry has absolutely no riz. I know he said his granddaughter told him that he did. Absolutely has none of it, and I love it. I am just...
First of all, I love that you all keep calling him Jerry, but his name is definitely Gary. But it doesn't matter. Gary is a widow.
It's Jerry with a G.
It's spelled Jerry,
it's spelled Jerry. It's pronounced Gary. Yeah, but it looks like Jerry. I totally get it.
Whatever the letter is, it's the opposite sound.
But can I just, Jael, can we just talk about Gary for a moment, or Jerry if you want to keep calling him that?
Jerry, we love you.
Gary's a widow.
We watched the whole episode and did not talk that.
I know.
Jael, Gary's a widow. He married his high school sweetheart. She died in 2017. I'm already crying. How deliberate does it feel that they cast a widow and not someone with an ex-wife somewhere out there, do you think?
Oh, I think that was critical. But I think it was also critical for the sort of lasting love storyline, right? The idea that like he's looking for someone to like journey into the sunset with. I think the fact that he like journeyed with her all the way through is what really sort of sells the story in some regards. And I think like one of the things that's going to be very difficult for me, Kathleen talks about crying every episode. One of the things that's going to be very difficult for me, I think, is every time the breakups happen. And I think for the women, the breakups just feel more severe and more harsh because like there's not just like there's more fish in the sea and like you'll find your guy one day. There's not that message that you can kind of share in the same way. I think these women are going to be heartbroken. I think Jerry is going to be heartbroken. And I think that it's going to be the hard thing. Like, I don't know if anybody noticed, but the one girl called out to her friend when she came out on the show. And I can't remember the friend's name.
Roberta.
It was Ellen, called out to Roberta and mentioned Roberta. They showed Roberta. And then when the credits ran, they were like, this is dedicated to Roberta who passed. And I was like, guys, I can't do this. No. The emotions are all over. So her friend had passed since didn't even get to see her on that first episode. And I was like heartbroken. This is what's going to happen every episode. Somebody the stakes are that high. The Gary Jerry is that wonderful. Like it's all that.
Gary Jerry is now his name to me. Amil, there's maybe 30 seconds left of the show, but I got to just say, the New York Times did a profile of Gary, and in it, he talks about how his granddaughters told him not to kiss anyone on the first night. And he said, I failed. How sexy do you think the show is going to be? And is that your expectation of it at all? Amil has her hands over her head. Okay, go.
There was so much kissing in the first episode that I was like, okay, am I actually ready for this? Like, am I emotionally ready for this? Gary, as earnest and grandpa as he may appear, he went for it. There were tongues. I think this show is going to be a lot sexier than people had anticipated. Yeah. And again, I think that's good. I think it's educational. And the fantasy suites, I could just tell from the tone of his voice in that clip you played that, it was a boom boom room for sure.
I love to leave it at a place that is, and there were tongues. Kathleen Newman-Bremang, Amil Niazi, Jael Richardson. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for guiding us through the Golden Bachelor. Thank you. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Listen, before I let you guys go, I just want to get a quick recommendation from each of you. What should I be enjoying, this weekend? Amil, I'll start with you.
Okay, well, I'm going to recommend a book. It's a national bestseller, so I'm not the only one reading this book right now. It's called Daughter by Claudia Day. It is really propulsive, energetic, engaging fiction about fathers and daughters and motherhood and creativity. It's fantastic, and I highly, highly recommend that you read it, and so that you can know what everyone's talking about right now, because everybody's talking about this book.
Listen, when someone throws the word propulsive at me when it comes to a book, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it. Jael, what about you?
Well, I'm glad you recommended a book so I don't have to, because that's what everybody expects me to recommend. I'm going to go the football route. I know that's wild. I have been deeply invested in the Kelsey family, and this is before Taylor Swift became a thing.
Wow, a hipster about it. I was here first.
I am in love with Jason and Travis and their podcast/YouTube show, The New Heights. Highly recommend it. If you don't know anything about football, they do a dumb question segment. It's great. You'll learn things. You'll laugh. And maybe you'll hear about Taylor Swift now.
They did an explainer. They were like, what is a down? And then they were like, well, we'll do our best and explain it. And it was honestly very charming. Football players are charming people. Who knew?
I just started listening to it. It's great.
That's two people. Let's go. Kathleen.
Elamin, explain what a down is.
No, I can't do that because we don't have the time. But Kathleen, why don't you take us home?
Okay, I'll try to do this quickly. I am recommending Kerry Washington's memoir, Thicker Than Water, also a book.
Okay.
But I am deep in a Scandal rewatch right now, so I also recommend you revisiting at least seasons 1 and 2 before it goes off the rails, because Scandal, I think, does not get enough credit for how groundbreaking and how amazing and how just like a deliciously deep drama it is. But Kerry Washington has been on her book tour, and she brought Tony Goldwyn, who played President Fitz, the love interest to Olivia Pope on Scandal. They have been recreating scenes from Scandal, just showing everyone their
the chemistry is unbelievable. These people are just hanging out, and the chemistry is like, are they married? No, they're not married. This is crazy.
I would not be okay if I was married to one of them.
What? 2 books though. Look at us. We're a literary bunch. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Kathleen Newman-Bremang, Amil Niazi, Jael Richardson. I appreciate you again.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Elamin.
Oh, stop it. Okay. Kathleen Newman-Bremang is Deputy Director at Refinery 29 Unbothered. Amil Niazi is a culture critic and columnist at The Cut. And Jael Richardson is an author and the Executive Director of Fold, the Festival of Literary Diversity. And that is really it for the show today. But listen, one last thing to tell you about before we go. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke with Vancouver author Alex Kazemi. He's got this debut novel. It's called New Millennium Boys. It's this coming-of-age story that explores the underbelly of Y2K boyhood. Sounds great, and I think you should probably read it for yourself. We are giving away a copy of New Millennium Boys. You can find that on our Instagram. Go to @CommotionCBC for all the details on how you can win. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. That is it for the show today. You know what? I'm going to see you next week. See you then.